So I'm wondering from you, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of stories, you've seen them all. Like, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see marketers make? I'll start with you, Ron, on this. This is a goodie.
I mean, I think we've talked a lot about this theme of ROI, right? So I think ultimately within the board decks, as we talk about for the marketing sections, there's one section on here are the things we're doing and here's the ROI associated with it. And then there's one section on here are the new things that are very interesting and we want to have more discussion around, right? And I think if you lose the first piece where there's no attribution around results of investments, that's probably when people get annoyed. It's like, okay, I see that you're working hard and I see that you're putting effort into this, but what are we actually getting out of it? And ultimately, is this going to be valuable, right, to the company? So there are a lot of instances where we might go into a board meeting and we see a board deck and it's all around positioning, just as an example, right? And we have a campaign around the positioning and here are all the different things that we're going to do around it, but there's no evidence or even forecast around what the value of those initiatives might be. And look, ultimately those things might work, right? And that might be the frustrating thing on the marketing leader's part is they might say, yeah, I'm going to do it and you're going to see the results. But it's very, very hard for the board to buy in to any of those initiatives up front because you haven't created that trust around the ROI, around people being confident that you know what the ROI is. So I'd say that's probably like the biggest example, right? And we can talk about are there too many slides? Are there too few slides? But I'd say like that's the big underlying theme.
Right, and I'm inviting all of you to just be really candid here. What are the things that you've seen that, frankly, you roll your eyes at? Like, if I see another marketer do that, I'm.
I'll take that one. I mean, there's it's never happened, for none of my portfolio
Not at
companies.
Norwest.
No. I think, again, the stuff where we're going into the weeds, whether it's your brand deck or your stats deck or whatever it is, like that'll just, sort of flip over our heads. And so there's the stuff that will just be like, okay, I need to just bear through the next 5 or 10 minutes of this and go through the detail.
Like the marketing to-do list or?
Again, specific tactics in the weeds of what's actually happening. Again, I want the quick, here's what's working, here's what's not working, right? And the highlights on each of those things. But then in addition to that, being in the weeds, I think the other side is like the thing that kills your confidence as a board member is someone who changes their story all the time. So Parker mentioned consistency earlier. Like, let's just agree on what are the key metrics you're going to track, and let's just track those over time. Or let's just agree what those big, hairy goals are, as Parker mentioned, and let's just track those over time. And are we green, yellow, red against those, right? Just present them in a quick and easy format. If you don't, and you change the framework every single time, we have to do the mental gymnastics of saying, wait a second, how does this tie back to what you'd said last time? And how does this tie back to what I might see next time, right? So that consistency piece is really important. And related to that is changing your strategy. We're going to do this. No, and now we're going to do that. And I fully recognize that there's room for experimentation, and there should always be room and budget for experimentation. But changing your basic framework, I think time over time is definitely a confidence skill. And then finally, you asked me the question on sort of like, what are the macros you care about? The flip side of it is like, don't blame your campaigns not working on macro environments, right? On macro things that are outside your control, because that tells me you don't have a handle on your function and then more broadly on the business, right? Especially if marketing is a key component of driving growth in that business. So those are some of the things. I can probably go on what our confidence skill is, but I'd say like just be consistent, be clear, be concise.